Right, cool. So, let's go.
Do you want me to look at the camera or look away
You
from
can look
the
wherever you feel
camera,
comfortable. You can look at Femi if it just feels more natural to have a
Yeah.
conversation with
Okay.
Femi.
Right.
More natural it feels better. So you don't have to look at the camera at all. It'll pick it up either way.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so in your own words, what is Phoenix FM and what does the station mean to you?
Phoenix FM is more than a radio station to me. It's a community resource that allows people who don't normally get the opportunity to be heard, listened to. If it was a commercial radio station, I'd have no interest in doing anything with it. I think because I'm part of this community, I think it's good that we can represent the community to the best of our ability, at least.
Okay. What does Phoenix FM currently do to help the community? Like, what sort of businesses, artists do you promote, and how can they get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with us by email, sales@phoenixfm.co.uk. They can follow links off the website. We have a very good social media platform now, which we've always wanted, and we now have one of our volunteers does a great job for us on that. What do we do for businesses? We don't do as much as we should do, but again, partly it's because businesses, I suppose at the moment it's difficult cost-wise, although we don't charge a lot for advertising, but it's a case of the more people who know us, the more customers they will get as well. So it's a kind of, it should be a hand-in-hand thing, really. The groups that we work with probably are more reflective of the community side of what we do anyway. So we do work with organisations, for example, Healthy Minds, North Halifax Partnership, schools, particularly with groups of people who, maybe they need more support to build the confidence, help them with the communication skills. Universities work with yourselves, Huddersfield, the University of Huddersfield. We've worked with Trinity, Leeds Trinity in the past. Again, one that we should do, and again we do work with, but they don't send placements to us. Is Colverdale College. So again, there seems to be something missing between what we do and what people know that we do. So, I think that's something which we have to try and concentrate on as well. Yeah. I think also because FM is changing and it's becoming more digital, perhaps that will give us more opportunities going forward again as well.
Well, leading off from that point, what do you believe? This isn't a written down question. I'm kind of trying to come up with something about the future.
The future of radio, or
yeah,
future of Phoenix?
Yeah, something like that.
The future,
help me out, guys,
the
please.
future of Phoenix FM, what do you...
Yeah, what do you see
Let
for
me
the
put
future of
something
the
into it.
community
Thank
that
you.
you're building?
Because
obviously you've got a long history.
we've got a long history. I think one thing that I've always felt is that the problem is if people don't understand what you're doing from the start, and you have to keep trying to, not reinvent yourselves, but I think radio reinvents itself anyway. You can become not an old thing, an old fad or something, but people are attracted by something new, something that's shiny, something that excites them, when in fact you've been doing it all the time. But if people don't get on your kind of wavelength, FM term, you can be lost to something new when you feel that you've always been able to give that to people, but they've never been aware of it. So I think we have to try and embrace more things that we don't want to, which arguably could be social media. We do, but it's like when people come and say, we want to start podcasting. It's radio under another name. That's all it is. It's the same as what we do, you know. So maybe you have to try and embrace other people's concepts of what it is, even though it's what we do, you know. So I think going forward, I think FM will eventually go anyway, like digital TV took over from as it was, you know. And I think with radio, it's tried it. I mean, there was an attempt to go digital with all of the DAB kind of radios and stuff, and it failed, and I don't think people were ready for it then. And I think one reason was that people don't physically listen to the radio on a radio as much as people thought at that point. You know, you could tune in on your computer, on your phone and everything. So to actually try and sell something which people didn't want wasn't working. I think people do buy DAB radios, but you look at Alexa, you can get us, we're not a digital station, we're an FM station, but we can have a worldwide audience, digitally still, you know, and I think eventually FM will fade away. And I think it's also a historic thing because people of my generation were brought up on FM. Younger people, FM doesn't mean as much to them, you know. And I think the word radio doesn't because the new names like podcast, you know. But podcasts have been going for decades, you know. So yeah, I think we have to look at different directions. But we'll remain a community resource, which is what I said at the beginning, you know, and it's up to us to be able to connect more to the community, but also for the community to connect more with us, for us to survive as well.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the history of Phoenix FM as well?
Phoenix FM, in a sense, there was a 4-week broadcast. Which was a restricted service license broadcast, so your maximum was 4 weeks at a time. And I was teaching up at college, and because my passion was like soul music and stuff, and talking to my colleagues, and they said, "Oh, you know, there's a station started in Halifax." And I said, "Well, no, I didn't." So it was called Spark FM, and it lasted only for this 4 weeks. So I did a show. I wasn't that interested in radio, but I loved my music, so I got involved. But after the 4 weeks, they didn't seem to have anybody who wanted to keep it going. You know, there were meetings and nobody seemed to move forward with it. And 2 or 3 years later, one of their directors got in touch and said, "We're thinking about doing it again. Would you be interested in being involved?" So me and my then partner, she was doing a business degree. She was doing a business degree and she wanted to get involved, but we said we'd like to be involved in the background of it more, here to try and get it moving. Unfortunately, one of the other directors had lost a bit of money on the 4-week broadcast.
We're gonna have to do that again. That was so much noise.
It's all good.
So
Just continue from where you were.
yeah. So unfortunately, one of the previous directors of Spark had lost some money on their 4-week broadcast, and it wouldn't let us use the name. So every time we set up to have like a nightclub do a fundraiser for us, we couldn't put the name on a flyer, which sounds, well, what you know, it's almost like you feel like you're a scam then, you know. Like, you know, what's it for? Well, we haven't got a name for it yet, you know. So we had to think of something. So it happened so many times. Don't I go and tell them to shut up? Oh God.
I'm not gonna Excuse me. Oh man. Just in the middle of this, you go, "Oh, let's go."
You can put that in right at the end. Bloopers.
Let's go. Oh man.
Oh yeah, also when you're filming though, like guys need to try and stop moving around. It's gonna catch up on the mic.
I just wanna mute a phone. Mute phone.
So if I were you filming, I'll take it.
Check it's fine.
No worries.
I can't believe you're working out.
Right, try again. So, try and take the position that was in before.
Yeah. And we're good to go again.
Okay. So basically, we were trying to fundraise, but one of the former directors who lost a bit of money during the 4 weeks with Spark wouldn't let us use the word Spark. So it was quite frustrating because if you're trying to, make some fundraise, and somebody says, "What's it for?" You say, "I can't tell you." You know, it's difficult. So eventually, I just said, "Well, let him keep the name, and we'll come up with a new name." So Phoenix, some people think, "Oh, it's from the ashes of Spark," and I said, "No, didn't realise how bad it was actually. I didn't realise you could hear it. You can hear it in there live
Yeah.
if somebody's in here making a noise, but obviously it's still both ways, isn't it? Yeah. So it wasn't Phoenix. Well, Phoenix wasn't rising from the ashes of Spark. It was phonetically, like people refer to Halifax as fax. So it was Phoenix, fax, put it together. So people said, "Yeah, that's fine, okay." So we kept to it. So that's where Phoenix really started. So we did more RSLs, more 4-week broadcasts, and then at some stage, it was before Ofcom. It was the Radio Authority, I think, before Ofcom took on board it all. And they started to offer 12-month trials for stations, and so we applied and we got a 12-month trial. And then they offered 5-year licenses, and again we applied and we were successful with that. The difficult thing was you had 2 years in which to get everything in place, build your studios, get your equipment and things. And although it was the first time this had happened in Halifax, I wrote to the then chief executive of the council and I said, "Great news, for the first time in its history, Halifax has got a full-time FM radio station, which will be great for businesses, the people of Halifax, everything." And we didn't get a reply. And in some respects, we've still felt a bit sidelined. And going back to what I said about, when you've been around too long, people just forget you're there, you're doing what you do, and something new comes along, it's like, "Oh, that sounds great," you know. So it is, like I say, it's about marketing, publicity, and the local paper wouldn't do anything about us because they saw us as their, competitors, even though we were a community thing. Well, we can't get, you can only get so much advertising, and we've never ever touched that again, and if people don't know about you because your local press don't do anything about you, you're on a hide into nothing for a long time, But,
I've just got one last one unless you've got something else.
Yeah, I've got one. What would you say are some of the greatest successes of Phoenix FM?
Great successes is staying on there for so long, I think. We've had some individual successes with people. People have moved on from Phoenix to get into the profession. Well, no, we are professional, but we're community. They've made it into the world of radio on more commercial-based stations. We've managed to attract some interesting guests over the years. We've won awards, we've won national and local awards, which are community-based things, for things that we've achieved. We've won. Again, like I said, because it's about communication as much as it is about radio. So we invented a board game, a Halifax board game, to help people who maybe start to get affected with dementia. So it was like a talking game where they could be asked questions about their own history, about the town's history, and that won local and national awards. Which goes back to what I was saying. It's not always about being radio. It's about being able to communicate with people. So that's probably one of the finest awards that we've achieved.
What's your question?
I think lastly, I was just going to ask, is there anything that you feel like you want to add, and anything that you kind of want to say to your community of listeners on Phoenix?
Just to listen to us and support us if you can in any way, you know, and get the word out that we've been here 20 years and we're hopefully going to be here for 20 more. I might not be for 20 more, but you know, hopefully somebody will be. So, yeah.
I got one in it. Looked on the website and it said like you're doing like a fundraiser. Do you want to plug that in?
Oh yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes. At the moment, yeah, we have a Just Giving page, and again, yeah, the reason why I wanted to put that together was because if you're an organisation that relies on grants, the problem is you can be limited by what you can do then, because if you write a grant, you've got to say what you're going to do, who you're going to be working with. But then somebody might come in and say, I need some help to do this, can you help me with this? And we never turn people away, but we have to keep the lights on, you know. So I think somebody actually once said that the word radio can put people off because they assume that you get all the advertising, all this money comes in, and as a community station that doesn't happen, you know. But equally, you know, if somebody came in with an issue that they wanted us to support and help them with, we would not turn around and say, sorry, no, we haven't got any grants that cover that. We will make some way of helping them possible, but we need income coming in. So, you know, I think the people we work with, people with autism, people with mental health, we've had presenters with Parkinson's, you know, anybody who has needed some help for their benefit, we've made sure we can give them. And as I say, you can, you know, it's, I just one example, final example I'll give you, is we were approached by a former Halifax Rugby League player who had to give up the sport at an early age because of a head injury. And he wanted to do some podcasts with us and maybe bring other people in from sport who had similar stories and how they'd achieved something different because they managed to get through that and how their lives have changed in positive ways. So I've said, so for example, if we applied to Sport England for a grant and we got that, and then a week afterwards somebody who was a firefighter came in and said, I've had to give up being a firefighter because of an incident that happened and it affected me so much that I had to give it up. But I've had to change my lifestyle, and I'd like to get people from the services, you know, from the firefighters, from the police, etc., to come and talk to them. And I could not turn around and say, sorry, it's not sports related. You know, we'd find a way of doing it. So the Just Giving page really is to make that possible, because like I said, we have to be here, we have to put the lights on, we have to switch everything on, we have to do all the editing. And if it had to be just led by a grant, a lot of people would be let down by us and would feel bad about that, so we don't. But yeah, so Just Giving really is to make people more aware that we are more than radio, and if they wanted to help us, brilliant, that'd be great.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's
Thank you
it.
very much.
I could tell them they can scream now and shout.